Turns out just about any franchise can come back for a nostalgia-filled sequel. Doesn't even matter if the originals weren't that good to begin with. So join us as we discuss I Know What You Did Last Summer 3. Well, technically it's 4, but no one really wants to claim that direct-to-video entry. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Hello.
This is a horror movie podcast. We get together and talk about a movie. It is that simple. And we missed a week last week, which was unfortunate. We didn't record for 2 weeks because I was very sick. Turns out I never got the chicken pox as a kid, and it is much worse as an adult than it is as a kid. So I was miserable.
Jeez.
But it was likely a child at the movie theater who did that to me. So, children, you're all on watch. I'm done with you. So, have that.
For letting children in for I Know What You Did Last Summer?
No, Superman, you don't. I mean, I just saw this the other, yesterday. I was sick for weeks ago. Anyway, everyone, welcome today. We're here, as Tim has pointed out, to talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer, or, as I like to call it, I Know What You Did 27 years ago. So, we will get in to the movie. We'll start spoiler-free, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we do so. And, of course, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please do hit the like button. Helps us out a bunch if you do. And, of course, you can support the show and get some bonus goodies over at Patreon or via YouTube membership. But I'll tell you more about that at the end of the show. So, I Know What We Did Last Summer was a movie that came out in 1997. Starring Freddie, Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, and, of course, Sarah Michelle Gellar from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was not very good. If you go back and look at our review, which we did like 5-6 years ago at this point, wasn't too hot on it. I mean, I don't think I ever liked it that much, but it definitely did not age well, and it is what it is. The sequel, which came out basically a year later, set in the Bahamas, is sillier, so maybe you get a little bit more enjoyment out of it if you like a bad movie, but still not good. Still not, like, you're not getting good kills or anything like that. We did the direct-to-video movie, I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, as a Patreon episode just a couple of weeks ago. We had never seen it before, and it was terrible with a slightly interesting ending. I'll say that much.
Slightly interesting beginning, slightly interesting end, and then, 80 minutes of nothing in between.
There was more skateboarding factored into the plot than I think I expected, but that is what it is. So that's like and that one's obviously just not even thought about in this one. That one didn't exist as far as this movie's concerned. So this is your legacy nostalgia bait sequel, decades later. Obviously stuff like it's so funny to me that the original I Know What We Did Last Summer was like a quick cash in to Scream. Like, Scream is successful. We have to quickly do more of these teen whodunit slasher movies. And I Know What We Did Last Summer was kind of born out of that, along with Urban Legend and a few other things. It's funny to me that now, and it's quite late, actually, because it's been like 7 years now, but Halloween 2018 effectively did it for horror, like the nostalgia sequel for horror movies. So it's funny to me that now I Know What You Did Last Summer, because Scream came back as well, did nostalgia sequels. Now I Know What You Did Last Summer's doing it. But the question I have to ask him, how many people give a shit about I Know What You Did Last Summer enough to want a legacy sequel almost 3 decades later? I'm not so sure there's a high number.
No. Yeah. Like, because when the new Screams are coming out, and we've had a couple at this point, but pretty much anytime a new one comes out, I see people going out of the woodwork. Like, there's obviously horror fans that will get excited or at least have opinions about what they're thinking, but then also, like, there's a lot of normie people that just that kind of hit them around the right time when they were growing up, and that's something they hold in their hearts. When this was coming out, like, I wasn't hearing anything from anybody, and they had, like, it seemed like announcement after announcement of, like, oh, like, this person's returning and this person's returning, and usually the comment I would see would people just be like, wait, why? Like, this isn't the kind of movie where you would really bring back the people. So yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, it's enough of a name where I'm sure people recognize it. So they probably have some type of studio math where it's like, well, we're sure that the recognition will get at least this many people or whatever.
Well,
but yeah, I just don't think.
I don't think that math is panning out, Tim, because it's not doing very well at the box office.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's even doing that annoying thing that Halloween 2018 started, which is we're going to just name it the same title as the original, but it's not a remake, it's still a sequel. Which Scream then did with 5.
And the annoying thing is, I feel like this title, there's a lot of stuff you could do with it. Like, you could have been like, I'll always know what you did last summer, or like, hey, I'm still remembering what you did, or...
They did that first one, Tim. That was the direct-to-video movie. You just...
Oh, was that the third one?
Yeah.
Well, not many people saw that, so they'll be like...
Yeah, but you did. But yeah, I agree. There's maybe more witty things you could do with the title. Like, you could even do something like, there's like a precog sort of thing going on. There's, I know what you'll do next summer. Or something. I don't know. But regardless, I mean, I went into this with fairly muted expectations. One might even say I went in thinking that it was probably going to be trash, and my only hope is that it would be fun trash, and that's really the best I could hope for going in. But yeah, I mean, as far as premise goes, before we get into it, I mean, hey, an accident of some kind occurs. A bunch of rich youngsters, although they're more in their mid-20s in this rather than like high school or college days. They seem like they've all finished college by this point. Get into a pickle, they cover it up, and a year later they start getting notes saying, I know what you did last summer, and someone in a fisherman's slicker outfit starts killing people with a hook. And that is, it's the same premise as the original. But of course, it's a legacy sequel, so eventually they start going to original characters for help and that kind of thing. We'll get into all that stuff in spoilers. We won't get into that yet. But with all that said, Tim, what did you think of I Know What You Did Last Summer, 2025?
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't really looking forward to this either. Going in, I've seen the trailer a number of times because we have been going to the theaters a bit more, and this is one that like always played.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't have any hope that it would be good. Like I was kind of thinking, all right, maybe it'll just be like a pretty standard generic, horror movie, and who knows, maybe there'll be like a couple of good kills or a couple of dumb characters to laugh at or something. So that was about like, the highest I was expecting. And I do think it is a bad movie. Could probably even say very bad, but I don't think I was prepared for how stupid it would be. I'm actually like genuinely surprised at some of the stuff it does in the movie. And I don't know if it goes far enough to recommend it as like, oh, it's so bad it's good. Like obviously it's not like something like Troll 2 or whatever that I'm dying or whatever, but there was like a number of parts that I did laugh at the absurdity or the stupidness of it. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff we can complain about in the movie. I think it looks terrible. I think some of the acting's pretty bad, surprisingly, from some of the returning, cast members. I was kind of like, was Freddie Prinze ever a good actor?
No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was. If anything, I think he's probably better than this than he was in the original, just because he's like older and more chiseled.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, it's not like a huge CGI movie, but there's like a couple like notably bad effects. It seems like there's like a lot of green screen. It felt like to me. So, and the story's pretty stupid, but I mean, I mean, that's all the bad stuff. But I mean, I guess if I'm going to give it a compliment, like I was never really bored by it. Like it does go to some like wilder than I thought places. So I don't know, like I can't complain and say it was like, oh, this is just like most generic Hollywood movies where I'm just bored and I don't like the characters and stuff. And like, I wouldn't say I like the characters here, but at least they're kind of like interesting or entertaining in some ways. So yeah, I don't know. It's strange. Not a good movie, but I don't know. There were parts that were kind of crazier than I expected. That kind of kept me, I guess, somewhat fascinated. Like when you're watching a movie, like a bad movie, and you're like, wait, what were they thinking here? So yeah, I don't know, kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're putting a little bit of a positive sauce on there that I don't think I'm going to be sharing with you, frankly. It is dumb. It does do some it has the gall to do certain things. But all the things that it did that are ridiculous, that I hated, are all playing into like the same things that all these nostalgia sequels do. It's just more egregious in this because they're really forcing it. Some cameos they have or some like callbacks they have are just so forced. It was pissing me off because I'm so sick of these nostalgia bait movies. And they have the gall of having a character say nostalgia's overrated, and I'm like, you have just done some of the most nostalgia bait bullshit I have ever seen, and you have a character say that as if you're making some kind of statement. Piss off.
Like, it'd be one thing if it was trying to be like a meta take where like, the nostalgia is like playing into it or whatever, but like it's not what they're doing. Like they're trying to do the dumb thing, but then also like act like they're in on the joke or whatever, and it didn't really work.
It is funny how Scream's this like satirical horror movie, and then I Know What You Did Last Summer spawned from its success, but isn't satirical. It's just kind of playing it dull and straight. I think that's a really interesting, and even just the fact that it Scream's obviously inspired by Halloween, so it's kind of funny that the same sort of like flow chart happened again, where Halloween 2018 happens, that leads to Scream 5, which leads to I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I like it's a terrible movie. I do think the characters are mostly trash. I kind of hated they're such a bunch of like preppy, rich, entitled assholes, and I just did not find them I'm like, I don't want to root for these people. I don't even want to like spend time with them.
No.
They're insufferable. They've got trust funds and they've got like all sorts of and their biggest worry is like if their spiritual guide gave them good advice because Pluto's in alignment. I was so ready to see them all die very quickly. The main girl, Ava, is just kind of a blank slate. I didn't think she kind of, held the movie together as a lead in any way, shape, or form. I think the kills suck. There's not, any good, fun, gory kills or anything like that. I think there's some awkward editing in some of the kills, the chase scenes, because there was moments where it felt like the character should have seen the killer get up and leave because there's like a full window, but somehow they didn't, and they play it as if it happened like all out of the range of sight, as if it's something spooky. And I'm like, no, they should have seen that. They're right there.
There's one kill that is so it was so off-putting, like the way they just cut where like to a character where like they just give no like preparation for like where he is or what he's doing, and then he basically just kind of like walks up to the killer. Like it's I don't know, it's like very, very strange.
Yeah, and it's just weird like geography things where like people are in weird places that don't make any sense based on because it didn't feel like they moved there. It's almost like it got chopped up in the edit or something, so there's some weird continuity problems or whatever. So there's a bunch of that. Hey, and you know what other trend we're cashing in on here with this movie, Tim? You know what we've got that Halloween 2018 also had? We've got a podcast character. Halloween and Ghostbusters. It's the podcasters they're in. also a legacy nostalgia sequel as Ghostbusters Afterlife. I should point out. It's hitting all the check marks for me of just a completely soulless, like not a single good idea, Like, why does this exist other than just to cash in some weird nostalgia? But it's something that very, very few people have actual nostalgia for. Like, they like look at photographs of the original characters in this movie as if we're meant to be like, oh my god, we're looking at Helen Shivers. I'm supposed to care so much and be in awe thinking about the characters from the original, and it completely falls flat. None of it means a goddamn thing. Yeah, the movie's trash. The movie's trash, and I wasted 2 hours of my goddamn life.
It is quite long, which is also annoying. There also seemed like they were trying to do like some type of like, you know, like down with the patriarchy, like women's power, like kind of thing, like throughout the movie, which was kind of weird because it feels like there was nothing about that like for so long, and then like all of a sudden like it just kind of like popped up like every now and again. Like, it's not a bad storyline to have, like, obviously, but it just seemed like weird to kind of like come out of nowhere, and especially like with a franchise that like, I never really thought of this as like a big, you know, like misogynist franchise or something. Like,
I mean, I don't even call it a storyline. It's really just like, if it was there, it'd be like a theme or like, you know, I guess subtext or whatever. Like, I noticed a mug in the middle that said Tears of the Patriarchy, and I thought, that's a funny mug. Just kind of on its own. But it's just all of a sudden, in the last like 20 minutes, there's like a bunch of speeches about, you know, like the men and women side of what's going on, and it just, and obviously I can't spoil anything about what's happening in that section of the movie, but like just all of a sudden there's like weird speeches being made about certain things, and I'm like, okay, this is a weird pivot. It's because I agree, it didn't feel like the rest of the movie was like about that or building up to it in any way, shape or form. So very, very strange.
I will say, like, I do think the ending is kind of wild, and I mean,
I have to ask a question, Tim. Did you not see it coming about half an hour in?
Let's I mean, we'll save it for spoilers, but let's say there was something that I guessed correctly, but
yes, there was some. I guessed easily the biggest thing the movie has to reveal, I guessed immediately as soon as they tease something, because there was really only one option that made sense based on the tease, and it was exactly that option.
Okay. But yeah, I do think, like, I don't know, when I talk about like some of the stuff that I think is like weird or crazy, like, yeah, I don't know. I am kind of excited to talk about it. Like, I don't. It's not, I guess, the most enjoyable when you're watching the movie, but I think at the very least, I'm happy that there's like weird stuff that we can get into, versus just being like,
there's stuff to talk about. Yeah. I mean, this movie, I won't say anything that's in it, of course, but this movie has a mid-credit scene.
Oh God, yeah.
with sequel bait in it, of all things.
They must have wanted to do like a new trilogy or something, which I'm assuming we're probably not going to get, but
I'm hoping we're not going to get. Which reminds me, Tim, I got a trailer for Strangers Chapter 2. I was having like a weird, like,
oh really,
episode in the theater. I was like, no, what are you doing? What are you showing me? And it recaps so much of the first one, so people like will be up to speed for the trailer. Like, we understand what she went through in the first movie. Jesus Christ!
Oh my God,
I'm not looking forward to that one. I'm really not.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten that one yet, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to it either.
Yeah, rough times. So to run down like who's in this movie and the characters and whatnot, and the director as well, of course, who I don't recognize from anything. The director is Jennifer Kaytin Robinson. There's no L in her name there. And she, I think, has done a lot more writing than she has directing. Her directing credits basically are just a movie called Do Revenge, an episode of a TV show called Love Life, and a movie called Someone Great, none of which I have heard of. But she did do some writing on Thor: Love and Thunder, apparently. So,
the one everyone loves.
Yes, that's it. Having said that, her writer list isn't that much longer than her director list, so yeah, I guess she's just relatively fresh. But can't say I was fond of the direction in this movie. Like I said, there was a lot of awkward edits at times and things that just felt geographically like they didn't quite click together. Cast-wise, our lead for this movie is Ava, played by Che Sue Wonders. She's kind of just like blandy CW face, like actress. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel that way about all the main cast, to be honest. But I think I'm going to give her more shit than the rest of them because she's supposed to be the lead. She's supposed to be the one that we're latching on to, and I just don't think she offers enough to actually care that much. And then her best friend, who's the more sort of rich, like socialite kind of one, who's kind of the ditzy blonde who has healing crystals and whatever else. That's Danica, played by Madelyn Cline. And then our kind of like not rich girl of the group is Stevie, played by Sarah Pigeon, which that has to be her real name, because who would pick the stage name Pigeon? Pigeon. Sarah Pigeon. So that's that. And then we got Teddy.
She should do a movie with Ethan Hawke.
Oh, very good. We got Teddy, played by Tyreek Withers, and we got Milo, played by Jonah Hauer King. And that's our main group of 5 that are, involved in what happened. That's the main batch. But we got obviously Freddie, Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt returning in some capacity, and it's so wild to me, like, because I mean, maybe there's some restraint in them waiting a while because they don't show up until like a good at least 40 minutes out of the movie before we start seeing the legacy people. But at the same time, like the way they treated it like it's a big deal, like, oh, we're seeing these iconic characters, and like they're not iconic. Like they're not. It's just, I don't know. And there's other cameos to mention, but I won't say them till spoilers because they are definitely surprises and they are wild.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I would not have been able to tell you like any of the characters' names before going into it, but I feel like I know them all now because I feel like they kept repeating them like a lot. Like they probably wanted you to remember them or something.
Oh yeah, like I mean, they say Julie James, which is Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, like countless times, and then Freddie Prinze Jr. Ray, like he owns a bar called Ray's Bar, so you keep seeing his name in the background constantly. So it's like, all right, okay, we get it. Here's our legacy characters. Yeah, I have nothing really particularly exciting to say about any of the new people, to be honest. They're all, like I say, just this kind of like bland CW-esque, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not playing teenagers. They are playing like, 24, 25-year-olds or whatever, but like they all have that vibe and they're all hanging about at a rich house that's got I mean, at one point they mentioned there's a pool house and they've got all the things you'd expect, and we have to witness like a bridal shower where Danica is just getting tons of gifts and she's giggling and happy about it. And it's just like, oh my god, these people's lives are just like, I don't like them. Okay, I kind of hate them. They're the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you said, it's not that big an issue to have this kind of people if, like we're gonna, really, just like torture them through the whole movie or whatever. But it's harder if like they want you to be on their side and to like relate to them and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this isn't great.
Yeah, and root for them and whatnot. Having said that, despite saying how unlikable I find all of the main cast, I weirdly am going to have some opinions on the accident that happens, where frankly they don't like. I don't think they come off as guilty of something as much as the group in the original movie did. I think they actually. I mean, it's hard to get into with this, bro, so I won't do it. But like, it just, I feel a little bit mixed on like how much I feel like someone would actually want revenge, and you have to kind of bend over backwards by the end to explain why someone wants revenge. But we'll get into all that.
Sure.
I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about before we get into spoilers?
No.
That's fine. We can go straight into spoilers then. So, spoilers for I Know We Did Last Summer 2025. Such a clunky long title as well. Like, I just, it's not good. Anyway, all right, so we're in spoilers, right? The movie starts. Would you believe it's the 4th of July again, Tim? It's always the 4th of July when these things happen.
Of course, yeah.
But everyone's returned to the town.
Well, that's your big summer holiday,
Well, in America, sure.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, these do take place in America. Yeah.
That's correct. In fact, they take place in North Carolina, which we looked up recently. So when at one point in the movie, it looks at a sign that says, Southport, North Carolina, and I went, "Aha! We looked that up. Because we were trying to guess what state it was in, and we were struggling.
Right, yeah.
I think at one point you even thought it might be North California." So anyway, so they're all coming back to their hometown, which is the same town from the original movie, because Danica and Teddy are getting married, and there's a big engagement party. Ava is the best friend of Danica, and she's been off working somewhere. What does she do for work? Who knows? She mentions that she's got a job. That's all we ever hear. Same with Milo, who apparently dated Ava at one point when they were in high school or something, and there's a bit of a maybe they'll get back together tension, but it's nothing.
It is really funny, like, how little you get about their lives, because it's like, oh yeah, there's a sense where they haven't really seen each other in a while, but you never really know, like, okay, so are they like super far away? Like, do they live a couple of states over, or is it like they, just moved like a town over and just, got caught up in their lives or whatever? And I think with Milo, they said something about like having a politics career or something, but it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess not like it matters super much, but it is kind of just funny. Like, you get very little feel for them.
Yeah, Milo definitely sounded like he was in the big city. I don't know if they specified which city, but you'd maybe assume Washington just based on the politics line. But that's all I've got for you. I mean, Ava did I want to say they maybe said something about LA, but I really I might be reaching for that. I don't know, but my mind's saying she lives in LA, but I could be wrong. So
yeah, I don't remember if they did, but it's like I don't know, like, what are their like careers, like what are their goals or ambitions or whatever. Like, you really don't get much of a sense of anything like that.
Well, I think Teddy just doesn't work because his dad's like the head of this like big company that's rejuvenated the town and has like all the tourism going on, so he's just like a trust fund baby. And Danica is like kind of the same, but she's like, I mean, I don't know if she's also rich on her own, but she certainly seems like she's marrying Teddy because like, hey, I'll be comfortable and I'll never have to work a day in my life. So I mean, that's the vibes I get from them. So anyway, who cares about what they talk about, because there's not really much to say. Right. For the actual engagement party. The big thing is though is that afterwards they want to drive up because they get the best view of the fireworks up in the hills, which looks like the same hills and roads that the original characters were driving on all those years ago. And they sort of like swerve things here. Stevie gets involved because Stevie wasn't at the party. They kind of run into Stevie and they mention that things are a little bit awkward because like after high school her dad ran away with all the family's money, so she couldn't go to college, so she was stuck here in the town or something. So things are a little bit weird with Stevie, but they invite her to come with them to this firework, to go up the hills to watch the fireworks.
So I don't know if this stood out to you, but I actually thought this was kind of funny because they like you said, the party's winding down, they're kind of in the driveway or whatever, and they see her like putting, some like bottles and stuff away in her car. And then they like start talking about her, like you said, they're like, oh man, that's Stevie. Yeah, we haven't seen her forever. Like, I feel kind of bad, blah, blah, blah. And then like, they cut to Stevie and she's with like another coworker, and the coworker's like, oh, like you recognize those people? Like, yeah, those used to be my friends and blah, blah. But the thing that's so funny is like the way it's shot is it seems like they're fairly close and they can probably hear each other, but like, obviously they're not acknowledging that because like, because that would be weird. But I don't know, like maybe it has like some of that kind of weird geography issues, like you were saying. But I don't know. To me, it just kind of like was making me laugh because it's like, oh, like it looks like they're just talking right in front of her, like she's not there or something.
Yeah, but they get the idea to invite her, and she's reluctant, but she ultimately agrees to go. Blah blah blah. And they get up to the hills, and they swerve because obviously in the original film, the whole thing is that they hit a guy in the road, right? That was the thing. And they kill him accidentally, and instead of going to the police and admitting what they did, they tried to just dump the body in the water. Here, the asshole of the group, the rich guy Teddy, he's like messing around and like dancing about in the road. He quotes the Nicole Kidman AMC like theater intro thing for reasons. And he basically just sort of like pretends he's going to play chicken by standing in the road when there's a car coming and says, "Don't worry, the guy will stop, the guy will stop." And the guy doesn't stop. Milo jumps in and like pulls him out of the way, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, so the car skid a little bit, but nothing bad happened. And they're all mad at him. They're like, "What are you doing? You're being a dick, stop it." And then when they're having this argument is when another car comes and swerves off the road to avoid them and like dangles off the edge of the cliff, right? And this is where I have a bit of an issue with like this segment, is that generally speaking, they spend a good bit of time trying to save the guy, because they go up to the car, including Teddy the asshole, and they're trying to like open the doors and they're yelling, "We have to help him, we have to help him." They're all kind of chipping in, like, you know, like, so he's trying to open the door, the rest of them are sort of holding the back of the car, hoping that they can stop it from like going off the edge, and it feels like they're really trying to save him. Ultimately they fail though, and Teddy gets scared when whoever it is in the car like hits the window, and he kind of flinches back, and that's when the car tips over and falls down to the bottom of the cliff. And then they're all like, "Shit, oh god, that's awful, what just happened there?" But they were trying to save him. So I'm like, immediately I'm like, well, it doesn't feel like they should be that guilty in the grand. And I think the bigger problem I have is like, you wouldn't really like, okay, other than the part where they were in the middle of the road, right? And they kind of caused the accident. Right? And they could still lie about that. They could just say that they saw this car go off and they tried to help, but it went over the edge. It's gone. But I really couldn't think of a good reason why they didn't just... Because that's the other thing. They even call the police. Like the asshole Teddy phones the police so that the emergency services are on their way, so that if there's a chance to save them, they might be able to do it. And even though Ava keeps saying, "Oh, we should go down and help him, this is our fault," they do kind of quite rightly say, but okay, but one, how do we get down? It's a cliff. And two, what are we even going to do if we get down there? Especially since the authorities are already on the way. So all of this just felt really weird to me, because then they have this whole debate of like, oh, we can't tell anyone, we have to leave and not take any statements. And Teddy's dad, because he's in with the police and all that, he'll help cover it up. And I'm like, but what is there to really cover up, right? If you... just other than one little lie to say that you saw this car swerve off the road, right? Take out the part where it's your fault that he had to swerve. Nothing here actually looks guilty. Nothing here looks incriminating. And yet, it's like, no, we have to lie about this. We all have to lie. Ava, you promise you won't tell anyone what happened tonight, will you? And I'm like, this is so weird. I don't think they did that much wrong. Other than that one thing, standing in the road. Like, for the most part, they kind of did just anyway, Tim, on you go. You jump in. What do you want to say?
Oh no, I agree. It's definitely less egregious than like, you know, the first movie where they're like hitting someone dead on, and then I could be wrong too, but I think like in the first movie there's also like kind of thing where like, you know, everyone was kind of playing a part, you know, where like, oh, like one person was distracting the driver, and then you know, another person like was supplying drinks or whatever, you know, like, so it was kind of like, oh, we all have a little bit of a hand in this. Like this, it's, you know, very clearly one person is to blame. So it's like, well, if you want to get revenge, like there's very clearly one person you know, that you would do that to. And then and again, it would make more sense if they were like, oh, well, we're not going to call the cops, or whatever. But like you said, they're like, oh, yeah, no, we do call them. And I mean, granted, they don't really have any consequences because of, Teddy's dad and everything. But still, it's not like he was, trying to lie about it and say they weren't there or whatever. And then also, like, since you just don't really know that much about these characters, it's kind of like, okay, like, oh, this is gonna like ruin our lives. Well, it's like, well, how exactly? Like, if there was something where it's like, oh, like, I'm running for office and this can't come out,
Yeah, but I have to add just once again, though, the only thing that's even remotely damning is the idea that it's one of the guy's faults for standing in the road. Everything else does not look bad. They just happen to witness an accident. If they just say we saw the car go off the side of the cliff. It's such an easy lie because like there's no other witnesses. It's like one detail they have to leave out, and it does not look bad at all. If anything, they look like heroes for trying to save the guy. I do not understand why they're so scared of like just being, almost completely honest. Just that one little bit they have to lie about.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No, I mean it's stupid. Like I mean, maybe one thing people might be mad at them for is not sticking around. Which, again though, it's like, what are they gonna do? But
I mean, that's part of it though. I would, they should stick around and just stick to the story. They saw the car go off the cliff and everything would be fine. Obviously, once they've fled the scene of the crime, it's like, okay, now it looks a bit guiltier. But like that's that's after the fact.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. I can't argue that.
Yeah, I just don't get it. It's poorly constructed, and it's honestly the only time I liked any of these characters is when they actually seem to be trying to help the guy, like very sincerely. Like it's not like Teddy like backs away and says, no, I can't do anything. No, he is trying, right? He doesn't do a great job, but he is trying. So I don't know. It just, I feel like if there's one part of this where they're supposed to be like, oh, they do something bad that I have to like struggle with as like a viewer for the rest of the movies to go, do they deserve the hell that's coming to them? And I'm like, I don't think they do deserve the hell that's coming to them. They did. I mean, most of them anyway. Like, I just don't see why they couldn't just lie about one little detail and the rest of it is completely fine. Whereas, the characters in the original movie, they hit the guy with their car. There's evidence. There's blood on their car. There's a dead body. Whereas there's a dead body here too. But like he's in his own car and he's went off the. Like I don't know. It just the whole thing just feels a bit poorly thought out to me in every sense of the word. So anyway, after they make the pact not to talk about it, it skips a year later, as you do. Although it's not July 4th yet, it's like July 1st or something. It's like we're almost on the Independence Day timeline here, where it's like July 1st, July 2nd. They don't do that, but they may as well. And Ava is arriving back into the town on a plane. She apparently met a babe on the plane because she has sex in the bathroom with this woman. And she turns out to be your podcast character, whose name is... Oh, I don't even see her. Was she Tyler, maybe?
I think that sounds familiar. Yeah.
She's not got a photo, which is why I can't tell on IMDb. But she wants a lift, and Milo's coming to pick her up at the airport, so there's this kind of awkward scene where she's in the back seat and she's like asking questions, and Milo doesn't know what to say to her, and Ava now feels awkward. It's almost like she wanted to have sex and then never see her again, but now she's kind of stuck with her in her vicinity.
I think she very quickly becomes like way too much, but I do think that like opening little bit with her was kind of funny. Like, after they're done like hooking up or whatever, like she says something like, oh, like where you going? It's like Southport's like, oh, can I get a ride? Like, and then I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny, like the awkwardness of her being like very clearly like, oh, yeah, I guess. And then just like kind of cutting to them in the car and having Milo being like, so who's this person again? There's a little bit in that.
Yeah, she very quickly says, "Oh yeah, I'm a podcaster. I do this true crime podcast. Did you know in 1997 a group of people in your town were murdered by a guy in a fisherman's slicker?" And like, because it turns out, by the way, that Teddy's dad, when he came in and renovated the town and turned it into like what did they call it, the Hamptons of the South? They called it. Apparently, him and the local authorities tried to scrub any records of what happened in 1997 because it's bad for tourism and business if people think of it as a murder town. So it's like, no, we've done away with all this. Like that never happened. We've swept it under the rug.
Now, I think that's one thing for like, okay, maybe it'd be hard for outside people to research it or whatever, but I feel like people in the town would still know. Like maybe it'd be more of like an urban legend or something, but it seems like it'd be weird for people to just not have heard about it.
I mean, I think the older people do. I mean, when Freddie Prinze Jr. shows up later and he's like, "Hey, this isn't the first time there's been violence. You know that, Chief." It seems like the older people do know it. It's just the young people don't.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like I think even the young people, like they would probably hear from, like older relatives or something, or like people would pass it down as kind of like campfire stories. Like, I don't know. But then, I guess they. Well, then how did they know to contact, Jennifer Love Hewitt's character? Like, did someone tell them it happened to her, or?
Well, I think they do research it, but they also learn a lot from the podcaster, because the podcaster like says a bunch of stuff about it and. Gives up a bunch of details. I mean, she's the one who kind of like, because after they get the card that says, "I know what you did last summer," the podcaster, when she's explaining what happened in 1997, does a big reveal to the main character where she's like, "Oh yeah, they gave, the killer gave them a note first," and she's like, "What was on the note?" And she like shows a photograph of it, and she's like, "I know what you did," and she's like, and she's got merch. Because I was laughing really hard when she meets the podcaster later, because basically after there's been a killer too. Ava like contacts the podcaster because like, well shit, we need to learn more about what happened in 1997 because clearly something similar is happening to us. So she goes to hang out with the podcaster, and this is where the podcaster has the line that's in the trailer where she's like, "Oh my god, this place is so beautiful, it makes me want to die." Well, give it 10 minutes. You can only be dead soon. But she has like a t-shirt with Sarah Michelle Gellar's face on it, and it says "Helen Shivers," and I'm like, oh, that's how they shoehorned her into this movie. This t-shirt. Little did I know what they had planned for later. But yeah, anyway, so it's all awkward. And here's the funny thing. Here's a good example of like all these generic CW looking people, right? Is I
think I know what you're gonna say.
We're at a bridal shower again, right? Danica's bridal shower, and I thought, wait. So they had the engagement party a year ago, and now they're having a bridal shower. I mean, I guess it's not that weird for people to be engaged for a year, and the wedding's coming up. That's why they're back in town. And then the fiancé comes in and kisses her on the cheek, and I sit there for a second and going, he looks a little bit different. He's changed in the last year. And then that's all I thought about it. And it wasn't until they were talking about like Teddy, like, 5 minutes later that I'm like, oh, it's a new fiancé.
Yep.
She's engaged to someone else.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I was like, oh, I guess he let his hair grow out.
That's what I thought as well. So yeah, that was a weird thing. Yeah. Anyway, it's at her bridal shower where she gets a card that says, "I know what you did last summer," and that's where the plot starts.
Now, I will say I did think. I mean, again, I don't know, like, how intentional this is or not, but. I did think it was kind of funny just to think of the timeline of like how fast these two must have gotten together and gotten engaged because like, I mean, first of all, like they're very clearly getting married, with dating less than a year, because I'm assuming that, the breakup with Teddy didn't happen like one day after or whatever, the whole incident, like that was probably at least a little bit of time. And then, so like, proposing and then setting wedding plans and bridal parties and stuff like that takes a lot of time. And then even when you like look through the house, they have like these like professional looking photos of them together, like hung up and stuff. And I'm like, wow, like this must have happened so fast. So I mean, again, I don't know if that's like intentionally supposed to be kind of funny, but like, just me thinking of that condensed like timeline did give me a little bit of a chuckle.
Yeah, and it feels like, oh, she's found another rich boy. I mean, that's the thing. She immediately admits to her friends when she's talking to them that he's an alcoholic, but he's there for her. And sure enough, like when they're on their own later that night, because he ends up being the first one to get killed as the new fiance. He's just like downing booze straight out of the bottle, like not a beer bottle. We're talking like a bottle of vodka or something like that. He's just downing whatever it is. And it's like, oh, I guess he is just an alcoholic. I thought she was being a little hyperbolic, but he's really going for it. So the first big kill scene is she goes up to the bath and she's listening to like a meditation like guru thing or something. So she's got headphones on. And the boyfriend gets killed downstairs with a harpoon.
And when she's getting in the bath, she apparently puts in a bath bomb that must have been like blood, themed or something.
It was a strong red at the very. I mean, maybe it's like, I don't know, like fiery rose petals. I don't know. No idea.
Well, it's like because we do like bath bombs like with the kids and stuff, and like usually it's not like very strong. Like you'll get like a little bit of colorization or whatever, but usually it tends to be like on the lighter side. So I don't know. They like that really had to have been like a bath bomb that would have just been like, hey, do you want to look like you're drowning in a tub of blood? Like, here's one for you. I will say that I do kind of like the like harpoon gun or whatever he uses. Like, oh, that's kind of like a fun weapon. Like they don't do like a ton with it, but at least like the first time he uses it and then like kind of struggling to like pull it out as he's getting pulled away, I was like, okay, like I don't hate this. Like it's kind of neat. But I mean, yeah, they don't really do much else with the kills after that.
I mean, I appreciate that it's another fisherman related weapon. Like he's got a gimmick and he's sticking to it, I suppose, if you will. So yeah, I think
what's kind of funny is like that. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think it's funny to me that like how much the characters in this movie kind of take it in their stride that someone's been killed. It feels like that this guy dies and like Danica finds him like kind of like presented with his like a harpoon up his chin, and obviously she screams, and then it cuts to the police station and everyone's just kind of, I don't know, it feels very procedural or something. I don't know, it doesn't feel like tensions are high, and then they kind of play it for laughs where she's back at the house and they're with her, like the group's with her, and she's like on like Xanax or something, so she's kind of like high and just kind of like lying there with a giggle look on her face. And I mean, I don't think it's the same night, but I think she almost gets attacked or something or whatever before this happens. But by this point, Teddy's been kind of around again, and there's a moment when she's like kind of high where she kind of like starts giggling and says, "Hey Teddy, do you want to cuddle?" And I'm like, your fiance died like 48 hours ago, and you're asking your ex into the bed. I don't know, it feels a little bit like, I don't know, movie logic or whatever. Like it feels like it's ignoring any real sense of time. I mean,
she clearly moves fast. Like, I mean, it is kind of weird because you think like, a group of friends with a killer after them, like, the thinking should be like, all right, let's stick together, let's make sure we're safe, we'll take like shifts like watching out and stuff. But every time someone dies, it is kind of just like they come together, they'll have a quick chat, and then they'll be like, okay, we'll see you guys, like we're gonna go off and do this thing, we'll meet up later or whatever.
Yeah, they definitely meet up a lot in this movie for sure, because the movie like there's kills outside of the main group for a good bit first, because we get this fiance character who gets killed. And the characters at that point don't realize that, they don't really know yet they're being ultra targeted, that there's going to be more kills or anything like that. It's not until there's another one, and I'm trying to remember who the second kill is, because it's the podcaster, maybe.
The podcast lady.
Yeah. So yeah, that sequence when they start to sort of like put together maybe that something's like targeting them. Ava goes to meet with the podcaster, who's going to a building that's related to the original murders, and it turns out to be the the restaurant. Well, I don't know if it was a restaurant in the original movie, but it's a restaurant now. The like Helen's big sister ran. If you remember, she like ran this store, and like one of the kills happened there. Vaguely remember that.
Okay.
So they go to this store. There's a key in the back, which I don't know if the podcaster like arranged for this access, or she just knew there was a key hidden there. Never explained. It doesn't matter, I guess. And they go in and they're snooping around, and the podcaster's like, "Oh, this is where kills happened," and blah 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 blah. And she's acting a little bit weird, to the point where Ava calls Stevie and says, "Hey, podcaster chick is a little bit sketchy. I don't feel comfortable. Can you like come and just back me up so I'm not alone?" And then the killer attacks, and we get some chasing and whatever. This is actually one of the bits where I got really annoyed at the sort of line of sight, I'll call it, because there's a moment here where I can't remember if it's Ava or the podcaster, but one of them's running from the killer, and they end up in like a storage cupboard or fridge or something in the kitchen, but like half of this door's a window, right? It's a big window. And it's very bright, it's well lit room, and the killer like falls down or gets hit or whatever and goes down underneath the window. And this is such a tall window that you'd still be able to see this killer because she's right next to the glass, but somehow without a beat passing, she looks down and the killer's just nowhere to be found. And obviously in slasher movies, serial killer movies, you often get you've looked away for a second, the killer's disappeared, spooky, 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 right? That's a very common thing to do. But it's really important to have a beat. Like, have a beat for the plausible, suspension of disbelief, where it feels like there was at least just enough time for them to sneak away. And this doesn't do that. This feels like the killer vanished into thin air in broad daylight right in front of her eyes. That's what it felt like to me. And maybe it's just bad editing. It may have been the editing that just ruined this.
The movie in general, like, there's never really that much tension, like when the fisherman shows up. Like, it's always just kind of like all of a sudden he's there, and then it's like a little bit of a chase and whatnot, but there's never any type of like atmosphere or like like sense of like, I don't know, just being like tense or scary or anything. It's always just kind of like, all right, he's here now.
Yeah, and then there's also like a weird bit here where when the killer's like chasing after the podcaster, Ava gets stuck in what I can only call as a bird cage that falls from the ceiling. I'm like, did the killer set this up? Like, what the hell is this thing?
I guess. If I had to guess, I would say like some type of fishing thing. Like, I don't know if it's like a big lobster,
that makes sense.
Like cage or something, but yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like, why is this happening though? I don't know.
It's like they've put a lot of effort into this. Like he's come in, he's set up some DIY. He's got a pulley system. It's dangling from the ceiling. He's expecting someone to be standing right there. Like, if this was just like maybe half a foot to the left off, the edge of it would just hit her in the head and knock her out. Maybe kill her even. So like, I mean, very, very strange.
I know, it is kind of funny too. Like, once you've seen the whole movie and you're kind of looking back on it, the killer says that like she wanted to make them feel the loss and hurt that she felt by taking away like the people they love or whatever. But it's like, okay, I don't know if she really like loved that podcast lady. Like, I guess it is, Danica is gonna feel upset when her fiance is killed, but I don't think like Ava's gonna care that much about this podcast lady.
No, not outside of just the shock of seeing someone dead. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, because this ends with her getting chased upstairs, and just as she's about to die, she does that thing, which again is a very Scream thing, is the pulling off the mask, or the hat in this case. So she sees who the killer is as she's dying, and she goes, "You." And this is the moment where I went, Freddie Prinze Jr. is the killer. That was the moment.
Okay.
Because who else would she say that too. Like, she wouldn't know any of the other characters. She would only know the people who were involved in the original movie.
That's very true. Yeah.
You know, because she's been investigating them. She's been obsessed with them. And Julie James didn't feel right. You know, Jennifer Love Hewitt character didn't feel like the right choice. So it's like, it has to be Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah. I didn't guess that right away, but I did very early on guess that. I mean, obviously we're in spoilers, so you know, spoiler alert. But well, you already there's two killers.
Yeah, you already said she, Tim. Don't think I didn't catch that. You were already dropping the pronouns.
So yeah, it's funny because when that happened, I did like start thinking like, okay, so she clearly knows this person. And then I was trying to think back of like, all right, like was she introduced to like our main cast at some point that she was thinking of? But it definitely makes more sense that
she did meet Milo, to be fair, because he drove her in the car. So I suppose there was a slight chance it could have been him. But the way she reacted felt more like, no, she really knows who this person is.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good call. For me, at some point, I was just like, you know, because it's a limited cast of people, and it's obviously going to be someone with that, you know, we know or whatever. And at some point, I was pretty early on like, oh, well, it seems like Stevie has the most to gain from these killings because, you know, she was like kind of this outsider of the group. And then after the incident, like, you know, she became like, you know, best friends with Danica. And, you know, I figured like, oh, if the fiance dies, like she'll probably just get closer or whatever to her and all that kind of stuff. So that was my like guessing early on.
Yeah, obviously there's a bunch of like reasons why she cares so much, which gets revealed like in a big dump towards the end. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah. They pull a Scream, they have two killers, and they also do something that Scream didn't do, but fans were thinking they would. Basically from Scream 4 onwards, there was always this idea of like, oh, what if they make one of the original characters the killer in this one? Yeah. What if they pull that trigger? And I think it is a little bit funny that I Know What You Did Last Summer got there first, where they do the whole, Freddie Prinze Jr. became the killer. And part of his motive, weirdly, is that, they've erased what happened to us. We have to make them remember. We have to make them remember the hell we went through by killing more people. Anyway,
yeah, it's not the best logic.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Now that we're going to go through beat for beat, because honestly, the order of events is escaping me. There's a section here where they're trying to investigate the guy that was killed in the car, right? So, like, hey, he didn't have anyone. Who was he? And Danica and Teddy go to the cemetery, and they're looking at. In fact, we look at Helen Shivers' grave. So again, she comes up again. I feel like Helen Shivers has been mentioned numerous times somehow. But they look at the grave and they notice that on the guy's grave, the guy that died in the car a year ago, there's some fresh flowers. And they're like, wait a minute. Maybe we could find out who left those flowers. Someone clearly cares about him. So they asked the groundskeeper or whoever, hey, can we check the security cameras? Can you tell us who left those flowers? And he's like, okay, fine, I'll go have a look. And he gets killed while he's there.
Can we just mention like the most cooperative, like, I guess like workers and stuff? Like no one ever asks like, oh, are you police? Are you do you have like a search warrant? Like, is this in a criminal investigation? Like, this is there's two times in the movie where they just go to a place and like, can we have what's probably considered confidential records? And they're just like, okay. Let me look it up, no problem.
Yeah, it happens a couple times.
There's also a funny bit like when they first come to the graveyard where like there's just two random like people drinking beers and like Teddy's just like, hey, can I borrow a beer? I'm like, oh no, never mind, sorry for your loss. Or something. I'm like, what is this movie? It's so weird.
Yeah, I was sure Teddy's not also an alcoholic. Does Danica just know how to pick them? Is that what's happening here?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, I think the implication with him, though, is that he became more of an alcoholic because of what happened last year and because he broke up with Danica.
Absolutely.
He's spiraled, he's went down a rabbit hole, and he's in a rough place. Yeah, so the groundskeeper gets killed when he's looked at the cameras, and the killer, like, disconnects them all. And then, because Teddy goes looking for the groundskeeper, the killer like shows up and starts chasing Danica. And this is when we really start getting to the nostalgia bait. So we've had the T-shirt with Helen Shivers. We've seen her tombstone. They mentioned at one point when they were sitting around talking, because they do it a lot in this movie. There's so many scenes of this group of characters sitting around talking about what's going on. But they mentioned when they were talking about the original characters, Danica said, "Oh, she was the wasn't prom queen, whatever like
Croaker queen,
something like that. Yeah, whatever Sarah Michelle Gellar won in the original movie, Danica also won." And she gets chased into like a warehouse near the cemetery, and what's in there but the float from the parade where Sarah Michelle Gellar sat on it during the original movie. And I actually was shocked that I even, like, when I saw it, I remembered what it was, and I'm like, no, I get what this is. Like, I know how pathetic this is. This is like just sad, because not only is there's this, but even like when the podcaster got killed and she was hung outside the building they were in, the sign that said the restaurant's name fell off, and it said Shivers, whatever the place was. So they're really trying to like go after the nostalgia with all this stuff. And this was actually the second time in the movie where there's a really weird geography thing or editing problem. So Danica's hiding for a bit. The killer corners her. They're on the floor. He's coming to kill her. And out of nowhere, Teddy just jumps in from off camera and knocks the killer off the floor. And instead of like going down to the killer to like, I don't know, check that they're down, pull the mask off, or anything useful, he just kind of like
start kicking them or something.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're like,
literally anything. He kind of like looks at Danica for like a second and then looks down, and the killer's disappeared, and there's like no sign of them basically anywhere. And it's like, how? They're right there. He looked away for a split. Like it's taking the trope of like you look away and get distracted and then the killer's disappeared somehow. It takes that trope and just turns it to the most ridiculously quick version of it. And this is now the second time it's happened. So yeah, so that bugged me. Somewhere around here as well as when they get the idea, oh, maybe we should go talk to this Julie James. So Ava goes to talk to her. Turns out she's in a different town teaching at a university. And they do a whole big entrance for her where she turns around all dramatic, and Ava's like, oh, someone gave us a note and they're targeting me and my friends and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I only have one question for you. What did you do last summer?
She's like weirdly hostile in this movie.
They're going for a little bit of that Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween 2018.
Like that grizzled, like badass. Yeah.
Like, not to the same extent, but she's got like a sort of like really high-tech security system with motion sensors on every entrance to her house so that she knows if anyone's trying to sneak in. So they really play it up like she's put a lot of effort in. I think what I was noticing more than anything else, though, was the outfit she had on. Because they did this thing where she's got like it's like a t-shirt of a band, I think. I think it was The Cure. That's right. That sounds right. But she's got like a smart blazer over the top of it. And I'm like, are they going for like, oh, I'm a cool hip like MILF teacher. I'm like down with the kids. The kids all love me.
I think she had like a nose ring and stuff too. Like, yeah, definitely trying to be like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't know.
Yeah, the nose ring was a joke for everyone. Just in case you actually think she had the nose ring.
No, she did. She had like a little thing.
Did she?
In her nose. Not like a hoop, but it was like, you know, like a little ball.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay, I thought you were just joking.
No.
Forgive me. So yeah, off camera, Ava tells her everything seemingly, and she basically just gives her the advice: find them and kill them before they get you. I'm like, oh, that's bold advice. The police won't help you; they're useless. So you have to kill this son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's very strange because I feel like when they do it in Scream, it's like the legacy characters become like more entangled in the story about what's going on, and here it just feels like, I don't know, like it wants to be more of the story, but then it is kind of just like they go and talk to him and then like they bounce. Which, obviously, like Freddie Prinze ends up becoming a big part, but like
it's kind of half and half because like Yeah, I agree that it feels like they just go and see her and then they leave her. And like, there's another scene with her at her house a couple times that's very kind of separate. But she does get involved at the ending. Like, she does show up for the last like 10 minutes or whatever. So it kind of feels like they're doing this like half step where they're like, well, we want them to be involved, but Jennifer Love Hewitt said she'd only work for 4 days, so we have to like, only shoot so much with her. Because they've got more nostalgia they want to do with her later. Don't you worry about that. They've got some moments planned for JLH. Do people say that? Is that a thing people say? I don't think it is. So that's the thing, and it's right after that. There's like a town hall because of the hanging dead body where Freddie Prinze Jr. shows up for the first time and is like, there's been violence here before. So that they set him up. They also set up that he's actually the boss of Stevie. That Stevie, like the bar she was like, getting bottles for was Ray's bar. So it establishes that they two know each other, and those two are the killers, everyone. So that's going to be important later.
Wow.
Yeah, there's actually one or two scenes with them talking to each other, like in the middle of the movie, that I wonder how they play when you know they're both the killers. Not that I want to go back and watch to find out, but there is like one or two scenes where he says something like, "Oh, like why didn't you come to me?" And I'm like, "Well, she did, because you formed a plan to kill everyone." Like, like totally. So I wonder like if there's like a slightly different context to that scene, knowing like where it's going, but not that I care that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like a weird relationship, because I think there's a couple of times where he says like, she's a good kid, like she didn't deserve like what happened to her and blah blah blah. But it's just kind of strange. Like, well, why do you care that much? Like, unless like
he does yell at one point, "I promise your father I would take care of you."
Like, who the hell's your father? Like what is?
Oh, don't ask me that, Tim. I don't know the answer to that question. Don't be silly now. So, okay, they set up that the scene where they all agree to stay at Danica's, although notably Stevie is like, "Oh, I'm going to go, guys." So everyone else stays there, right? Milo and Ava start even having sex, although it gets cut short because Ava gets a bit too freaky for him, where she's like, "Choke me, punish me, I deserve it, I'm a bad girl." And he's like, whoa, I need a minute here. And he goes out to the car and he's like, she wants choked, I can choke her if she wants it. Why wouldn't I do it? That seems like fun.
It's kind of funny is they have like a couple of scenes where like characters just talk to themselves. Like that's kind of how the movie starts with like Ava.
Yeah, Ava in the mirror. Yeah. Like I was like almost like pulling out what hair I had left, but she started just doing exposition to herself in the mirror. I'm like, really, movie? This is how you're explaining like why she's back in town, is her just telling herself in the mirror?
Oh, you never like look at the mirror and just go like, "All right, come on, it's your best friend's engagement party. Like, you can do this. Like, so what if you haven't seen her in a year? You've been busy, and your ex-boyfriend's gonna be there." Like, it was like pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, she tries on like 3 different dresses as well, but the first one, which she really likes, has a big stain on the ass, which don't worry, everyone, it's nothing sexual. It looks more like poop. No, okay.
Sure. It is kind of funny because it does feel like the movie does try to get like a little sexy like a few times, but then it always like pulls back because it's like, yeah, like they have that like scene 1 year later when like she's hooking up with the podcast lady, and it kind of seems like they're gonna go somewhere at first, and then it kind of just cuts, and then same thing with this sex scene. It's like, oh, it's like they're getting pretty hot and heavy, but then it just like stops. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like it is definitely raunchier in what you could do on a CW show. It's a bit more explicit, and not explicit in terms of nudity because there's like really no nudity, but like just in the idea of like starting to choke and like the kind of the vibe it's going for. But at the same time, it feels like, oh no, there's a hard cut off here. Like we have stabbings through necks and all sorts, but we can't show sex. Not really.
Can't really say I cared too much about Milo. He was such like a nothing character that like his death like feels very like nothing.
Yeah, he's the first of the main group to go. Because he gets killed in the car, And the killer uses his phone to text Ava saying, "Hey, I need space. I'll speak to you soon." And so they don't actually know he's dead for quite some time. They think he's just somewhere else. But Ava's like left there thinking, "Oh no, I scared him. I scared him with my kinky nonsense." Which, you know, whatever. Yeah. Oh god, it's actually really hard remembering the order of like the stuff that happens in this movie. It's all just kind of blurring together.
Well, the next big thing is probably the dream sequence.
Oh no! We have to go to the church first.
Oh yeah. I mean, this to me just felt like such like, again, I mean, it is very like important to the plot, but I mean the scene itself, like, I don't know, just didn't really feel like anything.
There's a string of events here. So like they're investigating who the car belonged to, but it turned out not to be registered to the guy that died. He borrowed it because, I mean, I think like they say it was stolen, but it wasn't actually stolen. But it was taken from the pastor, who they awkwardly introduced during the town hall meeting that, oh, there's a pastor. Go see the pastor and confess your sins if you feel bad about this killer on the loose. Yeah, that'll help. But it's registered to him. So they go to this fancy modern church and they're asking like, "Hey, father, blah, blah." And Danica says she wants to go to the toilet. So she sneaks into the priest's office and finds like a scrapbook where there's a ton of photos of him and the guy that died like hugging and stuff and like got their arms around each other, and it's like, oh, it's pointing towards the priest the killer, but the characters are so convinced that he must be the killer that it's obviously not him because it's like too soon. It's like no, they are so convinced he's definitely not the killer. And when they go to the police station to report they think the priest's the killer, this is where Teddy's dad tells the police chief to hold them for a night to like let them cool off because they're being quote unquote hysterical. Like honestly, if I would say like the first point in the movie where this idea of like the patriarchy and like, you know, feminism comes into it, it's probably this moment where the chief goes, "Yeah, they're being hysterical. These silly little women." Like that's probably the first time where it really sort of feels like, okay, you're actually doing that a little bit. You're sort of bringing that up thematically. But like you say, we get a dream sequence. Somehow Danica, despite the fact that they realize they're trapped, she falls asleep on the interrogation table. And this is how we get Sarah Michelle Gellar as Helen Shivers, de-aged, CGI de-aged Helen Shivers, because obviously she never grew old, so she should look like she did in the original movie. So we get this sequence.
That would have been like one... Like, that'd be too far for audiences to accept. Like, everything up until now would have been fine, but if she looked older, you know, they would be like, wait, what? The audacity of this sequence. There's already been some nostalgia stuff, you know, the tombstone, the photograph of them, constantly talking about what happened in 97 and blah, blah, blah. There's been a lot of nostalgia, right? And some of it's definitely a little bit like the float, for example, I thought was over a line where I'm like, okay, you're really like going for it. But this dream sequence feels so shoehorned in just so they could get Sarah Michelle Gellar back. Like you can feel the wires and the reasons. Like this isn't here because it makes sense for the story or because this is the type of movie that should have a big over the top dream sequence where, you know, like Danica like has no real connection to her other than she's the equivalent character in this movie and they both won that same crown. So she has a sequence where Helen Shivers turns around and the de-aging looked fine at a distance. Like, see, when it was like a wide shot and she was like far back, it was like, oh, that kind of works. But then, of course, she walked forwards and we get a close up and all the rest of it. So there's a bit of uncanny valley stuff starts happening. But she's basically just like, yeah, I'm Helen Shivers and don't you effing forget it. And, you know, there's a killer, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, I'm not real, but that dead body is. So you have to, you know, do this, do that. And it's just a nothing scene until Helen Shivers like starts to like bleed down her face, and then Danica wakes up. It's a nothing scene. Yeah, like her face starts to like turn to like ash or whatever, and it looks so bad. Like
it's super CG. Yeah.
All right, so this scene is very bad, but I will give them credit.
Don't do that.
Like, well, leading up, like, I mean, I don't know if you saw like some of the like articles and news stories and stuff, but like, leading up, like they were always making an announcement when, like, oh, like, Jennifer Love Hewitt's coming back, and so is Freddie Prinze Jr. And there was like a thing I saw before where like there's like something like, oh, like people are talking about like will Sarah Michelle Gellar came back, and like I think she had like a comment like, oh, they want me to come back, but I told them like, guys, I'm dead, there's no way you can get me in there. And then so they were like, oh, she won't be returning and stuff. And I feel like nowadays everything is just like constantly being spoiled, and there's like the second a movie comes out, people are like, oh, hey, like this surprise cameo or whatever. So I mean, maybe it just wasn't spoiled just because no one saw the movie. Like,
no one cares. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, so like I'll give them credit for like, okay, I was surprised by this. I mean, it sucks. It wasn't a good scene, but I mean, I guess credit for keeping the lid on it, and having like a genuinely surprising moment, like to see Sarah Michelle Gellar in this.
It's just such a forced nostalgia scene. That's all it is. Like there's like no reason for it to be here. It doesn't add anything to the plot. It doesn't add anything to the movie. It's nothing but, hey, you get to see Helen Shivers despite the fact that she's dead, and that's it. That's like, and arguably she's the biggest star of the movie. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who you would say is bigger at this point. Her, Jennifer Love Hewitt, because they both kind of faded away, for like a period of time. Probably when they had kids, I imagine they both kind of like didn't act as much. But so maybe that's up for debate. But as a Buffy fan, I feel like Sarah Michelle Gellar's the bigger star. But I mean, maybe that's just a personal bias.
I mean, I'd say she probably has like the better legacy.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
But I feel like Jennifer Love Hewitt was one of those people though that like had like I feel like she was on like one of those like crappy, like surprisingly long running TV shows. Like she had like 5 seasons of some procedural thing. I
want to say Ghost Whisperer. Is that her thing?
That sounds familiar, or something like that.
I think that ran for like 6 or 7 seasons or something stupid. So, yes, the Ghost Whisperer. So whatever, right? So they have this scene, but then they decide to just let them go because while they're trapped in here, we get the double kill of Teddy and his father. Now, Teddy also had a scene earlier where he went to the gym and he went to the sauna, and like after some mysterious guy with a towel on his head left, in the steam on the window of the door, it said, "You're next," and it just cut away.
Movie.
I mean, You're Next is a good movie, right? It just cut away to a different scene, and then we cut back to Teddy, and he's just back at his place drinking, and I thought, wait a minute, you didn't like go chasing after whoever left that message. You just like finished up your session and went home like nothing happened. It feels like there's a massive deleted scene there of like him like doing more after that.
Yeah, like this is the one I was referencing earlier that like just really seemed odd to me. Like, yeah, they just cut to like out of nowhere with him just like drinking by himself, and which I'm guessing he's at his house or something, but there's like I wasn't sure what, like there's this weird hallway with like a door that's just like opening and closing, and I didn't really understand why. And then it seems to be that there's like a statue or something at the end of it.
Okay,
then...
so here's the thing, right? So there's this long hallway. I think he just like triggers the door to close at one point. I don't think it's anything that's happening automatic. But the gimmick of this scene is that at the end of this hallway there is some kind of statue of like a policeman or something like that, and the killer's standing in front of it. So it's just a silhouette, but he just thinks it's a statue. The problem with this scene, Tim, is that for this to work, you have to show us this statue looking like this earlier in the movie. You have to set it up. You have to like give us a normal scene where we see this silhouette in the background, and then sort of like have him like walk past it and establish, oh, there's a statue here. So that when we get to this scene and he looks down there and we go, wait a minute, that also is a slightly different shape, or like, oh, I bet the killer's standing right there. And I think what really surprised me is that the killer was standing in front of the statue. He wasn't standing behind the statue, which would have made more sense to me. But the killer just stabs him. And this was, again, there was more weird edits in this scene where there's after he gets stabbed a couple times, Teddy does fight back, and he actually knocks the killer down, and there's a shot looking up at Teddy as if it's the killer's POV where Teddy spits blood at him, right? And it's very defiant, like he's winning the fight right now. But then, after it cuts to the dad who's in the main house, because it's a big, mansion with lots of bits, and he's out like at the pool sort of area. It cuts back to the dad for a second, and it cuts back to Teddy, and all of a sudden Teddy's like crawling with his multiple stab wounds, and he's like away from the killer, and the killer's just getting back up, and I'm like, you were winning. Why didn't you just like kick him in the face a few more times? Maybe grab his weapon or anything. Any of the, like, again, much like earlier on, it just feels like there's something missing, or he just, like, I don't know, it's a weird progression of events.
Yeah, the whole scene is just baffling. There's just so little context for anything about where they are, or where he is, why he's doing what he's doing. And like you said, like, the previous scene, he was warned that he was going to be next, and there's no, like, going to the police, calling his friends, being like, hey, like, seemingly not getting like any type of protection or anything. And then it is literally like he just walks towards the killer. Like it's so weird.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Very strange. He walks to the killer. He then seemingly kind of starts to win the fight. And then all of a sudden, he's just crawling away from the killer, and the killer's getting back up. And it's like, okay, I guess you're in jeopardy again. Like, it felt like we should have seen... Like, see if they showed him, like, trying to, like, run away, but then he stumbled because he's in too much pain, and then he starts to crawl. Like, at least there'd be, like, a sequence. There'd be, like, a progression of, like, okay, we got that he tried to just get away from the killer, but now his body's given out because he is too hurt. That would be fine. But anyway, he crawls to, like, the elevator or whatever that goes to the main part of the house, and when the dad comes out the elevator because he hears the doorbell, and, like, Teddy's there dying, and he holds his son in his arms, and he dies in his arms, and then the killer sneaks up behind him and kills the dad, the rich dad. And the police find both their bodies on display at the docks, and that kind of, makes them all take this seriously. And they go to arrest the priest, but he's already been killed. He's been skewered with a harpoon or something through his head. So it's like, okay, that's fine, I guess. And while this is playing out, they go, the main girls anyway, go to Teddy's boat to go away. They're going to hide on that and just get away. Which did remind me, there was one funny line in the middle of the movie, because they do all go speak to Ray after they've spoken to Julie. And they're asking for his advice. And at one point, Teddy says, why don't we just leave? I've got a boat. Let's just go to the Bahamas or something until this all blows over. And Ray says something to the effect of, for reasons I won't go into, that's a bad idea. And I'm like, because I think up until that point, I was wondering, is the second movie even canon in this film? Because I feel like, because I think earlier on, someone said to Ray, oh, you went through all this once before. And I was like, twice. I was like, why isn't he correcting him? He went through it twice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like all those, like, constant nods to the previous movies, but this is like one instance where I was like, okay, that's like a funny enough joke. Like, I let it slide. Yeah,
no, I thought it was funny because it was kind of like, oh, we're not going to go into the second one because no one really talks. Like, everyone thinks it's the shitty one, even though I think it's arguably more entertaining because it's more dumb and fun. But
yeah.
They're not going to address it too much, but he just has that one little reference to it.
I'm sorry, yeah, I forget if we mentioned it before too, but they do also mention that Julie and Ray were married for a while, and they seem to have had like a pretty bitter divorce. Like they seem like they hate each other. Whenever they mention like, oh, we saw Julie, like Ray's like, oh, her, and then they talk to Julie like, oh, Ray, they're like, oh, him, like. Well, I'm not sure what's going on there, but
we knew they were married, or they were going to get married because they got engaged in the second one, I think, or at least he was going to propose.
Okay.
Like, it was like a plot point in that one. But yeah, they seem to have had a really bad divorce. Which at first I was like, oh, this seems like a weird like downer. But then of course he turns out to be the killer, and I'm like, well, I guess it's good they got divorced then. But
yeah.
what appears to be the climax of the movie is that like they're on the boat, and then as the police go to arrest the priest, they find photographs of the guy who died in the car hugging Stevie. Stevie was in love with the guy that died in the car. So Stevie is revealed to be the killer, and obviously we find out soon it's one of two killers, but she like finally takes the slicker off and she's like, oh god, that thing was so hot. And then she kind of we kind of get between her monologuing and some other bits, we find out that she didn't know it was her boyfriend in the car when it went over the cliff. It's not until like the next day when it was reported on who died that she realized who it was, because it wasn't his car. And we find out that the reason why he was driving up there is because he was worried that her old friends would make her relapse and start drinking or whatever again. So that's why he was rushing up there. So wrap your head around this, right? Forgetting the Ray part of this for a second, right? just her, right? She was part of the group that agreed to not talk about this thing, but that also means that she witnessed everyone try to save him, right? She saw everyone try to help him, and she was actively one of the people who said, we can't go down there, I think. Or maybe or at least, at the very least, she didn't fight it, right? She didn't, you know, I think she was one of the ones that said, what are we going to do if we even go down there? I think she wasn't exactly, you know, gunning for that option. And they've turned it into, she's the killer and she's the one who wants revenge, which is kind of a stretch when she's so involved in what happened to him in the first place. Like, obviously, yeah, Teddy's a bit more to blame than anyone else, but everyone else is kind of... Because there's a line when Ray turns out to be the other killer, and he says, oh, we were supposed to let you live, Ava, because you're the only one who didn't want to, you know, lie. You're the one who wanted to tell the truth. So Stevie said not to kill you, but because you figured it out, I'm going to have to kill you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but like, most of them weren't actually that guilty of much. I don't know. The whole thing, her motivation is just so convoluted. The idea that she knew the guy was in the car but didn't know it at the time. The idea that like there's this whole thing where she's part of the church's like cult because they're like this like tight knit group, and the pastor's like this like, you know, new age evangelical type guy, and the guy that died in the car was her boyfriend that sort of wrestled her back from depression and drugs or whatever it was. Like, there's just so much like convoluted detail put into this that I guess it's almost funny, like how much they've done with it. But I don't know. Anyway,
it's a bit of a stretch for sure.
It's one way of putting it.
Like, I mean, the only thing is, like, I don't know, maybe you could say that, like, she's crazy or something, because once she does take off the mask and, like, starts explaining everything, she does get this kind of, like, manic, animated quality to her, which
she's got a look in her
kind of
eye.
Funny.
Yeah, she's got, like, a twitch or whatever. Yeah, so Ray goes up in his own boat and gets onto the boat with them, because this is Teddy's boat they've taken. They've taken Teddy's sort of yacht out, and he has a gun. Stevie stabs Danica and throws her overboard, and Ray shoots Stevie. And that seems to be it, right? That's like, oh, it's over. And even in the moment, I was thinking, this doesn't feel like a big enough climax. There's something else coming. And sure enough, when Ray and Ava are back at his bar, and they're just kind of like, you know, commiserating about what happened, it cuts to Julie James, and she's like researching, and she sees a photo of Ray with Stevie, and she gets this look on her face like, oh no, like she's figured it out. And then Ava figures it out because at one point when she was running from the killer earlier in the movie, she slashed like a knife at his back, and when Ray takes off his coat, there's like a... I mean, that's the thing. You don't even see it as the audience. I couldn't see anything on his back, but she reacts like she sees a slash or something. So fair enough.
I think they do like a quick. I think they do like a quick flashback, which is like the only way I really like recognized. So I mean, I guess that's like fair enough. It makes sense for Ava, but I feel like with Julie, it's quite a bit like, because I mean they already knew that they were coworkers. You know, like, I mean it would have been totally fair to just, you know, assume that like, oh, yeah, like, he was her coworker, but he didn't know what she was doing, like, just from seeing the picture, she's kind of like, oh wait, no, it must be him too.
I don't think she knew they were like boss and employee, like Julie. I mean, like I don't think she knew that.
But I mean,
No, I mean, I agree that
still, if you see like,
yeah, the photograph on it, so I'm not sure. Like, but I guess maybe deep down she's like, oh, he always had it in him to be a killer. Like I knew him. That's why I divorced him, because I could smell the killer on him. He was building up to it.
I mean, maybe she's just so like, I forget what class she was teaching, but maybe she's just like has such a an intuition for like the criminal mind that she could just like see it or whatever. But whatever. I mean, who cares at this point? It's all just like ramping up to the end.
So despite the fact that she vowed to never go back to Southport, she drives there and seemingly drives there in a very, very quick amount of time. Like this town must be right next to Southport, because she has this moment looking at the computer. And then the scene plays out with Ava and Ray, and then obviously Ray starts chasing her and attacking her, and she's like hiding and stuff. And Julie shows up during this chase. And actually, this is like, I mean, I hate like pointing out plot holes. It really annoys me. Like, I don't think it's a valid form of like movie critique. Plot holes are fine as long as they don't get in the way. But sometimes they're so blatant that it's like just so. When Ava realizes that he's the killer, right, and he's not like started to attack her yet, she tries to leave. She goes to the main door of the bar, and it's locked. She can't get out. And then he steps out and gets all intimidated and pulls out the hook. The chase ensues. Whilst the chase is happening and Julie shows up, she enters the main door of the bar. Wasn't that door locked?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And typically, the inside of a door might have like a little like latch that you could unlock without a key, but generally speaking, the outside of a door wouldn't have that.
Right.
So I don't think that that's what's happening here. That wouldn't make any sense. Otherwise, this bar would be getting robbed left, right, and center, because there's just hey, everyone, let yourselves in. So yeah, that really bugged me. As soon as she walked out of the bar, I'm like, how did she get in that door? That door was locked.
No, I mean, that's very fair. And it's, I mean, with stuff like that, I feel like it's, if the movie is good, then yeah, you don't really notice, or it doesn't affect your enjoyment. But if it's bad, then that's the kind of thing that just sticks out more. And real quick too, like another line I just forgot about too is I think when Ava's like first meeting with Julie, I think like she mentioned something about like Southport is like trying to like bury it under the rug or something, and like she's like Jennifer Love Hewitt is like typical Southport, always gaslighting or something. And it's like, I don't know, is that like a thing that we're supposed to like recognize with the town? Like, oh yeah, like that is something that happens a lot or whatever. Like again, it kind of seems like they're trying to
I don't remember
at, like, some type of theme or something.
Yeah, I don't remember the first movie well enough at this point to say if that was like with the police like not believing them a lot in that movie. I don't remember. Now what I do remember though is that Julie had one like famous line from the first movie.
Right. Yeah,
remember when she stormed out into the road and started yelling, "What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?" and screams it. So Ray comes out with his hook and confronts Julie. And she says, "Oh, you're sick, blah blah blah. Why have you done this?" And he's like, they forgot. They've chosen to forget everything that happened to us. They've erased us. I'm making them remember. Blah 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 blah. And he mentions nostalgia or something, and she says nostalgia's overrated, which already the gall, given some of the bullshit like the dream sequence they've pulled in this movie. But then right after this, so the setup here is that even though she's been stabbed, Ava's still alive, and she's noticed a harpoon gun like on the wall, and she's going for that seemingly. And Julie, as Ray's getting close to her and saying, "Oh, it's a shame I'm going to have to kill you, Julie. You shouldn't have come back to Southport." He's getting close. Julie steps in and says, "What are you waiting for?" And the implication being is that she it looks like she's saying it to him, but she's actually saying it to Ava, like, "Hurry up and shoot him! Come on, save me!" right? And her saying it once was already like, okay, they got to say her one line. But then she yelled it a second time, just like she did in the first movie. And I'm like, all right, movie, this is shameless. She had one memorable line that was played in the trailers, is always played in clips, and you found a way to have her say it. And sure enough, Ray gets shot in the back with a harpoon, and they save the day. So another thing that happens here, which is really weird, is that before he dies, at one point, Ava said, you shot your partner, you shot Stevie, you killed her. And he goes, did I? And I was like, okay, I guess we're going to like see her later. And the weirdest thing in the movie is that the final scene, when it's like we'll get to what it is in a minute, but they mention, oh, by the way, Stevie's still alive. And I'm like, then why didn't you show us that? Why didn't we see a scene of like Stevie like getting up and like, you know, maybe going on the run or like hiding somewhere or some like you just had a character.
They get another note or something.
Yeah, but it's so weird. He implies that we faked her death, like I shot her with blanks or whatever it was, and then two characters at the end just casually say, oh, by the way, Stevie's still alive, and it's played for a joke because the final line of the movie is like, oh, should we go and kill her? It's like, yeah, probably. And that's like, sure, get out of the water, get up off the boat, wherever she was when she gets shot. Like, show her, like, sneaking away or something, you dumb movie. This is stupid.
It's, I mean, I think it's even weirder than that because, like, the setup we have is, like, we show Danica washing to shore. So, like, we see her surviving.
Yeah, we thought she was dead, but she actually is alive. She wakes up on the shore, and then cut to her and Ava both getting out of the hospital together in their scrubs, looking like they're beat. You know, they've both got a sling on. She's got bandages on, and
like they're being like fairly goofy for like what should be just like the most like traumatic, you know, point in their lives, but they're like, do you want to get something to eat? And they're like, oh, I haven't eaten in forever. And then yeah, it just cuts to them eating, and then it's not even like a close up or anything of them talking. It's like a faraway shot, which I'm assuming is just 80 yard. And then, like you said, yeah, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, Stevie's still alive, and it's not like shock or like, oh my god, what we're gonna do. It's like played for laughs, and then they're like, yeah, should we go kill her? And they're like, yeah, I think we have to. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, and then credits roll, and again, in the past 3 days, all of their friends have been killed, and one of them turned out to be a serial killer, right? Like, Danica lost 2 fiancés in the last 3 days. Ava lost her old-time boyfriend that she was rekindling with. Like, they should be miserable. They should be depressed, and instead they're cracking little jokes and being like, oh, we're here for each other, we're best friends, we're, you know, I just, it feels so weird. And I'm like, and I was actually mad at the movie because I'm like, I wanted Danica to die. I thought she was insufferable. And I'm like, why didn't you give it to me, movie? Give me the Danica death. But no, she makes it to the end. So the titles play out as we get lots of shots of the water and the coast. And then we get to the mid-credit sequence, which is Brandy. Remember, Brandy was in the second one. She was a nice element. She was the roommate of Julie who went to the Bahamas with her. It cuts to her with her husband, and she's watching the news, and there's a story about Southport and Julie James been involved, and she has a line where she's like, oh, so many people are trying to kill that girl all the time. And I thought it was going to cut to credits there. I thought, it's just going to be a joke. It's just going to be like a little thing. Like, hey, Brandy got a cameo. She says something funny about like this repeating, cut to black. No. Instead, it keeps going. And Julie James shows up at the door, and she comes in, and they're like, oh, we've not seen each other in a long time. Hug, hug, hug. Oh, how have you been? Oh, you okay? And Julie's like, I'm sorry to bring you into this. Carla, her name is, but this isn't over. And she's like, what? What's going on? And then she like whips out a card that she got, and then it says, I can't even remember what it says, something like, it was something that implicated that she'd be going after like her loved ones and friends, which is why she's here with Brandy. But it was like I you know, I don't know, I'm still coming for you or something like that. I can't remember what it said.
Yeah, it feels like, like this is like a spy movie or something where like they're pulling them out of retirement. It's
Yeah,
like,
and the
it's
funny thing is they don't
weird.
get scared. The movie ends on Brandy saying, "Oh, so who do we have to f up this time?" And she's like, "I was hoping you'd say that." Cut to
Yeah,
credits.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? You're
It's
not
like,
action heroes.
yeah, yeah, like, and I think it would be one thing if this was like, 10 movie series and they've been in like 5 of them where they were the final girls or whatever. But yeah, it you kind of just think like, okay, yeah, you had this. I mean, in her case, 2 experiences, Jennifer Love Hewitt's, but like, yeah, you're not like, some grizzled action star that's constantly having to go after like fishermen or whatever. It's so wild. And then also just like the fact that it seems like Brandy is just learning about this now. Like it's funny that like the news program just happened to be playing that right before she showed up. Like she might even say a line of like, "Oh yeah, I just saw on the news" or whatever, like literally 10 seconds ago. And it's also just kind of like a funny movie thing where it's like, okay, do people just like not like call someone? Like I wouldn't just show up at someone's house, like, like give them a call, be like, hey, just to let you know,
Yeah.
I'm coming over. We have to talk or something. But I don't know. It is, it's stupid, but again, like I don't know. It's stupid enough that I couldn't help but like kind of laugh at the audacity of it. I don't
It's
know.
the sort of thing though, where if the entire movie had this tone of like, oh, we're going to treat this as kind of silly, and like our returning characters are basically veterans who know how to deal with serial killers. Admittedly, this franchise hasn't really earned that, but if that was going to be like the quirky tone they had to be different from the originals and stand out as like a new thing, I could have gotten into that. I could have gotten into this like who do we have to kill, blah 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 blah, and like but so much of the movie though just plays it like the original movie and just plays it with these characters sitting around talking about what's happening. It still tries to play it a bit too straight most of the time for it to feel like so this ending feels weird. This mid-credit scene feels like a weird tone shift as opposed to, well, I'd say both the final scene and this mid-credit scene feel like a tone shift, but yeah, very, very strange. I don't know. I just, the tone's a bit wonky. It definitely feels like a Sony movie, which is a bit soulless. And who gives a shit about this franchise, really? I mean, honestly, enough to like care about a legacy sequel. So it's bombed though. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about another one, at least for a long time.
I don't know. The movie is very bad, but in a weird way, I would be morbidly curious to kind of see where they would take it.
Is the poster for the next one just going to be like Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brandy both holding like machine guns like back to back and like a fisherman's slicker in the background, like, and it'll be like
Sure.
and it'll be called "We Know You Know What We Did Last Summer."
Well, like the funny thing is like they would probably have to do like something again to instigate it. Like they can't just start hunting them down. Like they first have to do something during the summer and then have then they can like
but they're already been targeted, Tim. The note at the end, they're already a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it needs, because well then they're gonna have to like make some changes because at that point it would be like, okay, I know what you did this many summers ago and what you did like this summer ago or whatever. I don't know.
Like I don't know how to fix it, but they've already put themselves in this pickle, which begs the question: who is this person that's after them now? Because it has to be someone connected to the original killings, presumably, if they're targeting Julie, or is it someone who's attached to Stevie? Is it that one other girl who was at the church who's like her friend? Is she like, oh, I'm going after everyone now because they killed my girl Stevie, but they didn't kill her Stevie. We've heard that she's alive, even though we never saw that. Movies. Here's a little hint for you writers: show, do not tell. And while there's some wiggle room on that, having character just say something like someone's alive and then not showing us them alive at any point is definitely way over the line into you told us and not showed us. and that was a weird sentence. But anyway,
and then, I mean, even if he didn't like shoot her, like she still fell off a boat. Like, I mean, there's, I mean, obviously like Danica survived, which I mean seems pretty implausible, but I don't know, if you're far away from shore, that might be kind of tough to come back from.
Maybe she went to Ray's boat though, because remember because they anchored and his boat was
That's true.
just a little bit behind them, so it's possible that she just went to that boat.
That's fair, yeah.
Which they may have intentionally planned for. All right, Tim, what are you rating I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I'll give it a 3.5. I think it is. I mean, it's pretty bad, but you know, I'm not going bottom of the barrel just because, again, some of the crazier, more absurd stuff did make me laugh, and at the very least, it didn't, you know, make me bored like a lot of, you know, crappy generic stuff does. So, you know, I guess a little bit of credit to those points. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend like running out to the theaters to see it, but you know, if it's ever streaming, you have to pay money for it. Like, it might not be the worst thing to throw on with some friends and kind of laugh at and half pay attention to. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it wasn't like the best watch or anything.
Yeah, I don't know what to rate it. I think as the movie was starting and I was just kind of bored and I didn't like the characters, I was like, this is like a 4 probably. But it does like, I think the shoehorning of some of the nostalgia stuff really does like put a sour taste in my mouth on top of the convoluted motives and all the rest of it. So I'm going to give it a flat 3 out of 10. I think that's what I feel like. So it's an average of a 3.25. That's the official Screams After Midnight rating of I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. Arguably, it fits right into the standard of the franchise, to be honest, because it was never that good to begin with.
Sure.
So there you go. That's I Know What We Did Last Summer. The plan for next week is to do 2025's Wolfman. Before we then go back to the theater for some stuff after that. We will be waiting on the movie together because we're getting it at slightly different times, so we won't be seeing that when it's in theaters, just in case you're expecting that one. That'll come a little bit later. But as always, thank you for joining us. Of course, you can support the show and help keep it coming by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. It really does help out. Thanks to everyone who already supports us. You can also support us via YouTube membership on YouTube, or give a one-time super thanks. Anything really is appreciated and helps keep everything coming. And you get bonus stuff. There's a back catalogue of bonus episodes. Because I was sick, maybe a little bit before we fit another one in soon. But the Even More Scream segments, which we do with most episodes now, are pretty consistent. And we did one for this episode where we looked at a bunch of different horror franchises and saw how far apart some of the longest gaps were in their entries. Because this movie came out, 20 years since the last movie, which was a direct-to-video thing. So you get bonus segments like that over on Patreon or via YouTube membership, and you can access bonuses for the other shows that me and David do, like Collector's Cut and the Atomic Cinema Experiment, and get access to Extra Reels, which is a monthly show me and David do where we review some of the worst things ever made. But that is everything. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We do appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.